Okay, Never Knows Best, Playtest 3. So yeah, I do have a start of session procedure thing marked down, but it's not completely where I want to get to try to get episodic format. But we'll see where we get. So let's start with wishes, just to see what everybody wants to specifically aim towards this session, keeping in mind what happened last session. So David, do you have a wish?
Yeah, I'd like to see us really interact with each other and see what our relationships actually are like, and kind of generate stuff based on those conversations.
Cool. Lauren?
I think I want to turn into a robot at least once, mostly just because I've got some cool visual ideas, but I don't. That's about as far as I've gotten with it. Okay, I know what my robot looks like.
I like how it's at least once. Ideally, I'd like to be a robot 3 times per session.
Yeah, so if you can make it happen, I'd really appreciate that. And I'm really interested to dig into like our new friend who's returned, who's now teaching class. Like, I'm excited about that plotline. It's very weird and uncanny, and I'm digging it. I think those are my 2 wishes.
Cool. Mark?
I want to meet a vampire.
You want to meet a vampire?
I do.
Okay.
Because I am not one. But my mission involves one. So.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Sounds good. Patrick?
I'd like to see something of the like weird energy plant or the strange energy that comes out of it, or that whole conspiracy thing. Because again, tying back to my playbook, I have like my buried secret thing has to do with a missing brother in that place.
Oh, cool. Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, so then the next step for me is to introduce a threat outside of the player character's knowledge. And if you recall previously, what escaped from Jackson was meandering. So I had a little bit of fun with that. I was like, huh. But I think what we... Oh, don't jump ahead.
I made a comment in the chat.
Oh, yeah, okay. Cool. So yeah, I think the opening scene for this specific episode, though, is like we get a shot of one of those whatchamacallit, giant like hamster wheels that are turning in the corporation, and all of them seem to be moving at like a regular pace except for one, which is going much slower. And then it cuts to like what is ostensibly inside of one. Like maybe we get a shot of the door, then it goes through the door, and inside there's like an outline of a figure, the way that they do in anime in the darkness. And the face slowly turns, and then we cut to you guys narrating your rooms. Who wants to go first describing their room? And it doesn't have to be like a huge thing or anything, but just in general.
I can.
Cool.
So it's we've seen in it before. It's still got the like blackout curtains. It's very dark and sort of ostentatiously gothy inside. It's got the big like 70s full wooden record cabinet sort of setup that's taking up most of one wall, which is currently playing like the saddest of the Smiths on repeat sort of thing. But up on the walls are all these like drawings and sort of engineering designs for different sorts of weird instruments that he wants to make and modify. But unlike last time, there was a whole section of one wall that were like these different designs for a modified electronic cello and like all the different ideas he had for that. And on that part of the wall, there's only like scraps of them still attached to pins as he's like torn them all down and ripped them up and sort of thrown them in a trash can, or I think maybe he even set them on fire or something. He's not happy with cello players right now.
Yeah, apparently. I wonder why that is. Weird. Things have changed.
That's
Cool.
perfect. Can I do my room? Because it's
Yeah.
like it's so related to that. So I think like we totally get what's different about Kit's room is she's added a couple of like CDs to her collection, but they still have like the price tags like labeled on them because she totally like lifted them from the local music shop, and they're bands that she knows Laszlo listens to. And I think she's listening to that while we see her like break the seal on the makeup that she also stole. And we see her like applying like it's like probably like an indigo or like a black like lipstick. And like staring at herself in the mirror as she sort of tries out that punk look on. She doesn't look like super convinced. And she probably like sort of smears it off afterwards. We have like black lipstick like smeared up her wrist and
She's trying out the look, but so far it's mixed signals.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet. Cool. Who wants to go next?
Jackson's room still is covered ceiling to floor with shelves and shelves of wind-up toys. However, he's constructed these treadmills for the wind-up toys that are connected to each other by drive chains, like from one treadmill to another treadmill. So it's all interconnected, and the toys are just repeatedly walking down these walking on these basically homemade treadmills made from scraps. A lot of it is the scraps from his old robot form. So rather than just being passively on the shelf, they some of the toys are constantly active.
Cool. Mark?
So, one thing that we see that's new from the last time that we looked at my room is there's a standing box, and the door of it is open, and we see all these different keys hanging from hooks and stuff like that. And one of them is obvious. It was the key from the subway that I used to open up the subway tunnel or the tube or whatever we used to go up in. Demonstrating that I've been collecting keys around town to access different places. And there is right beside that on the table like a set of like night vision goggles from what must be like the army store or whatever, old used. And instead of just one set of speakers and it all wired down to a tiny set of headphones, there's like other speakers of different sorts in the room too. And then they're just sort of they've become part of the furniture. Like the desk now has speakers instead of legs. So otherwise it's the same.
Cool. Cool. All right. I have some questions to pose to y'all as well. Just need to decide who needs what question. I think I have to relearn these names. Felix. I think that ever since HM, or as you recall, Harmonic Megalatronics moved into town, you've been having the same dream over and over from time to time. What is that dream? Laszlo, why do the adults, or what do the adults do to make you feel like they have a secret agenda? Kit, let's see. Where do you and your friends hang out in town when you aren't in school? And how have you guys made it your own? And Jackson, something strange began to happen in the town when HM moved in that the adults have not specifically been noticing. Like, it's quite strange to you all, but the adults just go about their daily lives seemingly to not notice it at all. What is that? So you can think about that and then let me know the answers.
So I think what I see as far as like a conspiracy between the adults and that sort of like thing that they share that we don't know is we've talked about this sort of like poppy, fluffy music that's the very corporation produced that all the adults listen to. And I think they're just like, there are a couple of songs that I try not to pay attention to them. I think we all try not to pay attention to the songs too much. But there are a couple of songs that when they come on, like, it'll get to the chorus or whatever, and it's just meaningless fluff nonsense, but all the adults will like look towards each other and give a sort of like, huh, and a sort of like knowing eyebrow. Like they know something of what it means, and then they'll just give a secondary glance over any kids that are around, and it's like, them.
I like that a lot too, because in junior high, that's totally what happened, right? Like, you'd be listening to like O-Town or something like that, and all the adults are like, "Oh, that's about fellatio," and you're just like, "This is a good song, like that beat."
Yeah, it's totally that sort of thing.
Nice.
So I think the strange thing that we've noticed is anytime that all digits on the clock are the same, so 111, 222, 333, everyone on this, everyone and everything on the street just stops until it's no longer the case.
Cool. This is getting very Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
So, the dream that I keep having is where I'm playing near a hamster wheel, like kind of much younger kind of child than I currently am, back in the day. And uh, you know, then I hear the wheels spin up and I go and look, and then I uh end up getting sucked in and I fall down this big hole, and then all of a sudden I'm in this white room and there's all these adults around with no faces and white doctors or scientists lab coats and stuff like that, and I'm like strapped to a table or something, and then like there's this electrical hum, and then something starts to hurt, and then I wake up.
Cool. Okay. Sounds good. All right.
Oh, so I think the place we hang out after school, or not at school, is The mall is right next to like this like parking lot, and it creates like a little like V bit where there's like some benches alongside the wall, and it's a bit like dirty and scummy because like trash blows like in there and dirt and leaves and stuff and like just into like the cornery space, so it's a bit like grimy, but it's sort of just out of the way enough where you can like hang out and the security mall guards like won't yell at you for like loitering and that kind of thing. So I think we hang out in that corner there, like alongside the wall, the mall wall. And the way we've made it our own is like Aiden thought he was really cool, like coming to us and be like, "Hey guys, do you want to like do some spray painting stuff?" Like, I don't know, isn't it so badass? But I think like Leslie started it, because I started that trend because like he fully bought some like spray paint cans one afternoon, and we like spray painted some like really like they were terrible, like really terrible like art doodles and that kind of thing, and like none of it makes sense and it's like really shitty, but we made that place our own.
Cool. So do you imagine this mall is right by the school then? Like it's all part of the corporateocracy or something?
Yeah, I think so. And I think like the ball security for that reason is like pretty tight because they probably get a lot of shithead kids like going through there trying to shoplift, like myself.
Like myself, where I check everything. Cool. All right. I like that. Is there a name for this spot between you all?
Ooh.
Do you meet at the wall?
Yeah, we fully do. We fully go meet at the wall. Let's go to the wall.
Cool. Okay. I like that. Interesting. So I think we get like a few shots around town of these various things happening, and then it cuts back to school, and I think it's whatchamacallit. It's like it's just like in FLCL where things are attempting to like kind of go back to normal, even though this strange thing has happened with your friend Oliver, who is teaching the class and shouldn't be. Basically, it feels like you've been in class for only like a couple minutes, I think, and then suddenly like the lunch bell goes and Oliver like does okay class, it's time for lunch. But I think he said something really corny too, like some sort of poppy fluffy thing, right? Like dang, I can't think of anything, but he says something innocuous like that.
Fry you later.
Oh my god, that's the worst. That's way worse than that. Okay. Yeah, sure. So yeah, it only feels like it's been a couple of minutes, and then everyone starts like funneling out to go to lunch, and I think as you're leaving or whatever you're milling about and stuff like that, Oliver has that anime villain look where the glasses is not something that you can see through ever, you know, like it's always glinting. Do you know what I mean? Where you can't ever see their eyes. So at a meta level, everyone's like, got it. Does anybody want to do something in the class before people are like leaving and all of that kind of stuff?
I think I do.
What do you want to do?
Is Aiden at school or is he like out?
Interesting. That might be part of the like reset or something. Yeah, maybe he's there.
Then yeah, I definitely want to like. So I shifted my matched pair label to Aiden.
Your what?
The matched pair label.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, I would fully try and like catch him if everyone's like filtering out to lunch.
Sure. Yeah, I think he's got like he's dressed the same way as he was this morning, of course, but he's like, and he doesn't look beat up or anything like that, but he has like a very distant sort of like fuzzy look on his head. And as you get closer to him, I think you like just for a second hear the hum of like electricity before it fades away, right?
A light probably flickers.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think I like probably try and I probably don't say anything to him. I probably like sort of try and catch like, his sleeve.
Sure.
To
And we get the anime second where he's like in the one position, right? And you're on the other side of the screen.
Yeah,
grabbing
totally.
Cool.
Yeah. And so I must refresh my memory on the moves before I commit you to a scene.
Yeah, well, they've changed too, so that's fair. Like 3/4 of them are different, so.
Awesome. Okay, I think, yeah. So I think like she'll catch his sleeve and be like, I'm surprised to see you in school, Aiden. Like, you weren't looking so good the other day.
The other day?
Yeah, like on the train.
Yeah. On the train's a little bit fuzzy for me. Did we tag it or not?
No, we didn't tag it, but you don't remember like the monster?
Monster? I think I'd remember that.
Oh, well, look, I just this isn't going to make sense, but I just wanted to say that I'm sorry.
Sorry for what?
For we haven't been the nicest to you. Like, you look lonely all the time in class, and I don't see you eating with anyone at lunch ever.
What are you trying to trigger?
I'm trying to trigger. I think what I want to do is like make him have lunch with me. Like, I want to get my way. And, like,
yeah, it seemed like Sure. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I think he says well, my parents have been going through some stuff is all. And then why don't you roll and we'll see how this goes. So what are you tagging in this roll?
I am tagging. It's so weird because I can't tag matched pair, but I had given it to him.
I thought you did move it to him.
I did, so I can tag his matched pair.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Then I'll definitely tag that.
Yeah. So you always have leverage on the person that you've moved it to.
Yeah, I will tag hot and cold because I think like I've been very distant to him, and now I'm suddenly like trying to be friends with him.
Yes, I think he is composed. Fair.
And perhaps I'm coming off like a bit nosy as well. Like, maybe I'm taking too much of an interest in like, oh, your parents, like that sounds like really rough. Like, we should talk, kind of thing. Like, getting a bit too much into his business.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, I think those three sound good.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Shit. Fuck. I said this wrong. Remind me how I roll. Like, so I tag stuff.
You need a trait too.
I need a trait. Yeah, I think I'm being audacious.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
So that's 2, right? A trait and a label.
Yes,
I'm sorry, I forgot to play this game.
how many labels did you?
3 labels
and a trait. Right, so +2.
Cool. Okay. Delete some dice. I got like a 12.
12 is good. Cool. Okay, so on a 10+, you give them a label, and they choose a reaction from below. So what label did you want? He already has monstrous, loser, worthless.
Didn't anything escape when the monster came out?
His repressed stuff would escape, but not labels.
Oh, okay.
I want to give him the label like misunderstood.
Sure.
Yeah.
Misunderstood. That's a good one. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
And on that 12, doesn't she also clear distress?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah. I added 12 pluses now because you guys are getting 12 pluses.
No, it's my wish.
You don't want to clear distress?
Oh, I guess I do, right? I'm happy.
Yeah.
You can go robot with any level of distress now.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so now you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also one of the more interesting things I think is so you can take distress and then robot out, right? But you can also if you reject conformity, there's an option to which when you overflow, you don't release your bad traits. So it's the only way you kind of like healthily sort of turn into a robot.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So just everyone earmark that. Okay, cool. So you gave him misunderstood, and he chooses one from below. Cool. So are you manipulating this so that you think that he'll like are you trying to get him to promise something that you think that you want without you bringing it up like in a roundabout way?
Yeah. Like it probably is like a lunch date kind of thing. Like let's have lunch together and become friends.
And become friends. Okay.
Yes.
Let's get those labels off you, buddy. Cool. Okay, so yeah, I think he just sort of like at first when you say that stuff, I think he looks around and like blushes and makes sure nobody else is like overhearing this. And then after that, he's like, yeah, why don't we talk about it eating somewhere? And it probably wouldn't maybe you guys eat at the wall?
Yeah, let's go eat at the wall.
If it's close enough.
We'll sneak off of school grounds. It sounds like a kid thing to do.
Sure, yeah. He obviously knows where it is because he spray painted it with you all, right?
Yeah, I definitely grab his hand as we go off to lunch.
Oh, so what do you think about that, Laszlo?
I don't think anything about it. I don't even notice. I'm just listening to my music and I don't even care about her at all. And I'm not staring at how long they're holding hands. And I'm not like trying to judge how tightly they're holding hands. And I'm not thinking about how his hands probably all gross and sweaty and stuff because he's gross and awful.
Cool. So you're not thinking about it. Got it.
I'm very much leaning on I picked up Head in the Sand last time. And I'm just, no.
Yeah, sweet. Okay. Felix, I would like to know sort of the parameters of how what I should know about vampires in order to inject them into fiction. Like, is it like the tropey vampire type stuff that you want to go for? Like they burn in the light and garlic is bad, etc., or some other kind of vampire, like emotional vampires, or I don't know, something like that.
I wanted the vampire to represent the conspiracy somehow, to be part of the adults and the hydroelectric plant and all that, to be tied up into it. So, I think of them as vampires. Like whatever it is that's going on in there, that's what I think of them as. And I read my manga, and I dress like what I think they're like, but I'm perfectly willing to be shocked by meeting what I consider to be a vampire.
Right.
So.
Okay. So what does
on your part?
What does Felix think about this whole Oliver thing then?
So I was going to, find him in a hallway and have a conversation with him during lunch.
Is this a Batman conversation?
Maybe.
Cool. Okay.
I know that looking at my traits, I need to be either selfish or obsessed, and stern and morbid. So that's who I am until I change those things. So that's what it's going to be like.
Cool. Okay. Does anyone else want stuff happening in the classroom before we go to a scene like that? Where
I was thinking I'd like to have a scene with Laszlo, actually.
cool. Yeah, let's get that going then.
Especially with you kind of hiding in your headphones after seeing that. I think I'm taking notice of this, and I really want to hear what those headphones have to say.
It's interesting.
They seem very protective of you, so I want to know what they're trying to protect you from. So I think I try to talk to you, and I hear that like you're just burying yourself in the headphones. So I'm gonna roll conduit. I think I'm being curious, and well, I'm trying to talk to headphones, so that's definitely eccentric. And I think skills.
Sounds skilly. I don't know if we've defined the skills too much, but it feels like you're just skilled in general.
Yeah, I know about like objects and things like that and how they work, and I don't think this is hard on my sleeve or childish. So,
well, I was gonna ask because Laszlo is being very like hard on his sleeve right now. Would that count?
I don't know.
For what? Like, are you like he's hitting on one of yours? You mean?
Well, Jackson has the hard on his sleeve label, which I'm very much fulfilling right now. So is that something he can recognize? Like, do traits work the other way?
Interesting. Yeah.
I guess I could also tag your head in your sand, because that's definitely like this is the object representing it.
Yeah, I think that labels should be able to be used like that.
So yeah, you can totally go after my head in the sand label.
Yeah. Okay, so that's 2 traits, 2 labels, so +2.
And are you up for this, Laszlo? Did you want to hinder by trying to tag something that would hinder it?
No, I can't even help that, can I? I was interested in seeing that go off, but I think you rolled a 5.
Oh.
Yeah, I rolled a 5, unfortunately, which
Cool.
makes me so sad because I wanted to see the headphones come alive.
Yeah.
That was the whole reason I was doing this, was to make it Laszlo have talking headphones.
Talking heads. Yeah. So I think the reason why it doesn't happen though is you start doing this process and you feel like a looming shadow behind you, right? Like cascading over both of you. And Oliver's there, which is ironic because Oliver is like your height or something, right? Like he is in the teacher position, but he's not an adult. It just feels like that. And he sort of like scrunches up his nose as if he's like a little bit annoyed, and he's like, kids need to eat. Aren't you guys hungry?
I just like side eye him, and I've got my arms crossed over my chest, and I just like barely shake my head.
So you're not hungry?
No.
Well, he's like, well, I have to lock up this place. I wouldn't want anybody to be able to break in and like steal the tests or anything, right? So you guys are gonna have to leave even if you're not hungry.
I think just in the middle of that last sentence, Laszlo just like stands up, shooting his chair out, grabs his tray, and like goes over to the trash can and like bang, bang, bang it out on the trash can, and slam it down and just walk out.
I think Oliver takes in like a deep sigh, like doing the sort of like adult woo-saw thing, right? Like, and he turns to Jackson and he's like, "Are you hungry or angry? Do you need to talk to somebody about this?"
No. Are you hungry?
Of course.
I think Jackson like reaches into his bag and pulls out like a granola bar.
Thank you, but I packed a lunch.
You know what? I think I'm going to. I think I've gotten just a weird impression off of Oliver in this situation because this is so un-Oliver. So I'm going to reject conformity just by like very awkwardly opening up the granola bar and eating it at my desk, like staring at it.
While he's waiting for you to leave. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Just to see like how he responds. I don't know.
Okay. Sounds good.
I think I'm being eccentric,
Childish.
and childish.
Yes.
And that is a 6.
Nice. Okay.
I'm just failing left and right,
Well,
but it's good because that levels me up.
Yeah, exactly. Mark XP. I was going to say. Yay! It feels good to fail.
Yay! Failing forward.
Artificial failure. I think. His eyes, the glasses do the like evil glasses thing again, right? And he kind of like he grabs her elbow and he's like, "If you don't want to be sent to the principal's office, you'll leave right now, Jackson." And then he like, just for a second, he kind of loses that composure and looks like scared little boy Oliver again. It's like a micro expression basically that passes. And then it hardens again and he starts to like look pretty angry. And I think then the actual teacher, well, in one of the actual teachers, one who is probably the he's sort of like the TA-ish person, and the main person shows up, Mr. Let me just write this down so I don't forget in the future here. Let's say this is be funny. Let's do. I think her name is Mrs. Wright. And she shows up and she's kind of got the like stern hand on her hip thing going on. She's got like a summer dress on. Her hair is like stressed back with like a ponytail, blonde hair, and like dark eyes, but otherwise looks like fairly nice. But she's definitely got the stern teacher pose thing. And she just says, "Is there a problem here, Jackson? Do we need to go to the office?"
No. I failed to reject conformity, so I'm like, I'm totally like picking up my stuff and getting the hell out of here.
Sounds good. And then we'll cut to, so where do you think the Felix finds Oliver on the lunch break? Do you have something in mind?
Are we in a Japanese style school where all of the teachers share like a large room, or
whatever you like. He could even oh, you know what actually might be fun too is maybe that Oliver, when you guys were friends, always ate on the roof of the school, and maybe that's where you find him. So it's sort of like maybe Oliver's still in there or something, right?
Okay, sure.
And he's got like a lunch pail that he's like packed that he'd never owned when he was a kid or anything like that either. Like the typical one that you would see in films where people who work at factories have that lunchbox, you know what I mean?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, he's got one of those. and probably like sandwich, apple, banana, or whatever, right?
All right. So I have some. I find him at the rooftop, and I've got some food too, and I'm going to sit down beside him, and I have something that should obviously be microwaved or
Oh,
warmed
okay.
somehow, but I'm not going to eat it that way, like because the microwave is too far away. So I definitely want to have this conversation. So I'm eating like a cold leftover lasagna or something like that, and it. So Oliver, what was it like in there?
In where?
Where they took you? You know, the plant.
Oh, the volunteer day. That it was good for me. It was exactly what I needed. That's what they say.
What is it? What you believe?
Well, now I'm teaching you all. They must be right.
Doesn't that seem strange to you?
My mother says I've always been a smart boy.
Don't you miss being kid like us?
Well, even kids have to grow up sometime.
Yeah, like 20 years from now.
And I think he's eating with one hand, the apple or banana or whatever, but on the other hand, um, he's got his hands wrapped around what looks like a cell phone, basically, and it's like gripped really tight. Like his hands are like white knuckling it, basically. And he says some people just grow up faster than others.
So you're with them now. You're not with us.
Nice. Well, are you trying to trigger a move?
I'm trying to play organically, and because I don't have the moves memorized, but let's see here. Um, let's see. Does he have any labels?
Let me check. That's a good question. Oliver. No, he doesn't have any labels yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to put one on him.
Maybe. What's the main way of doing that?
Usually get your way. And it sounds like you're trying to get your way and like get him to like divulge more information than what he's willing and stuff too, right?
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Let's do that. So
Cool.
I'm gonna try to get my way. I am obsessed. I guess
Patrick has a note too. It could be lashing out too, depending on how you want to, how you're framing the scene. You can also place labels, but
oh,
you could also
like that insult at the very end could be like lashing out emotionally.
Mm-hmm. It sounded a little militant, but they could also, as part of, yeah, the main goal is mostly to hurt them, though. I don't know if that's where you're at yet. Like, if you succeed, you'll be like, bam, you're hurt.
Yeah, but that might actually cause him to turn into a monster or a vampire or something like that.
You could be, yeah.
Yeah,
And
let's
then-
try that. Let's try that.
Cool, yeah. And then the less well you do, the more options I have to on the bottom list there. So I could put a
Okay.
label on you or make you take distress too, etc.
Okay. So I'm obsessed. I don't really feel like stern applies, but it's the closest I've got to a label that.
I think stern applies.
You think so?
Oh yeah, I think you're being pretty stern. Yeah, you're one of us now, or you're one of them
Okay.
now.
Yeah. Okay. So obsessed and stern. He doesn't have any labels. So that's 2 die. And
Lauren, you should have a bunch of XP, shouldn't you?
Yeah, I hit 8. Does it reset?
Yeah, it resets.
Yeah, then I have none.
Oh, okay, just go fail. Sorry, Mark. What were you saying?
I got a 5.
Oh, you got a 5. Okay, cool. So let me just look at that move. This is the opposite of last time. Cool. Lash out. Oh yeah. So I think you say that in a tone that you know that like your friend Oliver would be hurt by it, right? Like maybe in previous times when you've talked to Oliver, you guys have all been like, fuck the man, and like all this stuff that's happening around town is messed up and yada 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 and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I think what happens is it's completely lost on him, right? For a second you hear the thrum of whatchamacallit, electricity in your like a power line kind of thing. Like it gets really loud and predominant in the like film. And then Oliver makes eye contact with you and like pushes up his glasses so it's not doing the nefarious villain look. And it just seems like he's completely lost. And he's like, we're all in this together, aren't we?
Do I take any distress?
That, let's see. I think it's kind of a subjective thing. So, well, yeah, let me ask you that. Would that cause you distress to hear that from your friend Oliver? Like, would it upset you?
I think I'm beginning to be upset, but I don't feel like it's, even if I were to take distress, I don't think I'd overflow. But I think it really yeah, I'm gonna say that Felix and Oliver were actually good friends, and that this is really bothering Felix that they've lost a friend. So yeah, I think I would take distress from that.
Cool. Okay. So you can take 1 distress, and then kind of like quizzically, like what does it look like on screen for this distress? Like, do we see Felix actually look hurt, or is it like a internalized thing?
So I have that disease that we've never defined. So I think I pull out like a Victorian style, like, handkerchief or whatever, and I start coughing into it. And I'm obviously physically distressed by it, but my eyes, like I can't even make eye contact anymore. Not since I've been shut down by Oliver. And I don't know if Oliver reacts or anything like that, but as I put the handkerchief away, there's like a little bit of blood on it, so it's very distressful to me.
Yeah, I think normally he'd be the kid to kind of like freak out about the the blood and make it like an over big thing. And this time instead he's like, it looks like you should go to the school nurse.
It looks like I should be anywhere but here.
Snap. He says he like abruptly changes the color the conversation, and he's like, have you seen Laszlo? I have something to give him. And you see like that thing in his hand. He grips it like even tighter. That looks like kind of like a phone.
Fine. Yeah, I'll take it to him, and I kind of just slap his hand and try to grab whatever he's got.
Okay. Yeah, he wants you to have it, so that's fine. It's basically like, think of it looks like you know how Laszlo has the old iPod, like I pictured as like the clunky little clicker one, right? Yeah, this is like the iPod Touch version of that, right? Except it would have the like HM brand on it with the little hamster on the back and all that kind of stuff. And he lets you swipe it, and he puts his hand on your shoulder and looks you in the eyes, and he's like, it's very important that Laszlo gets this.
Well, I know how to take care of things that are important.
Okay. And then we'll cut to Kit. Oh, actually, it's out the hour, so maybe let's take 5 and then come back. Okay. Or if you want to have a quick scene, that's fine.
It's cool.
Okay,
I'm just very excited about this game.
Okay, good. So we'll come back. Maybe let's come back at 10. Yeah, sound good. Great. I've never seen this When They Cry, Lauren.
You would hate it. It's like
Oh, nice.
it's a like a murder. It's a supernatural like murder mystery anime, but everyone's like 10, and so it's a bunch of like 10-year-olds killing each other.
Oh,
But they're all like but they're all like adorable and cute and stuff about it. So it's really bizarre.
yeah.
And then the whole season's done in arcs. So you have the first 2 episodes where the protagonist moves to town and meets everyone. A lot of echo.
I think you're okay now.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah. So like, and like everyone, like the first 3 episodes, like everyone dies, and then it resets to episode 4, but it's like the same plot over again. And then everyone dies again, and then it resets, but each time it's like different antagonists, and like there's torture and body horror and like a lot of gore and cursed stuff. It's awful.
Definitely sounds weird.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Sweet. Okay, so yeah, let's go to the wall with you and Aiden. So, this is your guys' place, so you're alone there, right? And so I think we just get like a jump cut to you guys there, and Aiden's just like sitting there with food or whatever, and asks like, what is it that you wanted to ask him about?
Yeah, well, I think like Kipway like slugs her bag down, and there's like I felt really bad that we couldn't like tag the train and stuff. And I think she like pulls out like she probably stole one of like Aiden's spray paint cans.
Yeah, I think as soon as he sees it, he like goes into his bag and he's like, "I've been looking for that."
Yeah, I guess I just you must have dropped it.
I guess so. He's like, the train rides really are boring, but usually I can remember it. Maybe I passed out. Must have passed out.
Yeah, you weren't looking that hot. And I think she gives it a shake. You get like the tick of like the spray paint can.
Yeah.
And then I think I want to like reject conformity.
By spray painting?
Yeah.
Cool.
I spray paint my name.
Nice. They might find you, but okay.
It's okay. I'm feeling rebellious.
Yeah. There's a lot of people named Kit.
Or maybe it's a K and then my last initial.
Oh yeah, like some kind of actual tag.
Yeah, totes. And but I also want to put I put Aiden's name underneath mine as well, like or A, and then his like last initial as well.
Gotcha.
And then like a heart around it.
Nice. Okay. So what are you tagging
I
for
am
this role?
tagging Audacious. I am hitting on his matched pair again. I think can I hit on a band? Because like I think the reason Kit felt so connected to him last time was that she saw him as like an abandoned person as well. Can I lean on abandoned in that capacity?
Like, is that one of yours, you mean?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, what does he have? Because that might be...
Oh yeah, that might help too. I'm sure hitting on is misunderstood.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he also has Monstrous, Loser, and Worthless if you want to hit that.
I think I'll hit Misunderstood. I'll hit Audacious, and I think just those two.
Okay, cool. Do it.
Okay. Ugh. I got an 8 on the dice.
And you tagged how many things?
2 things.
In
I tagged a trait and his label.
Oh, okay. Cool. Okay, so you got a mid result. Choose one.
Ah, damn it.
What? You wanted 2 things?
I did. I want to inspire him to reject conformity as well.
Interesting. Okay.
I hand him the spray paint can.
Yeah.
He didn't get to tag the trainer, and I feel really bad about it.
Yeah, apparently. Cool. Yeah, he'll grab it and start tagging as well. And I think as he's tagging it, right, he says, I think I had like the strangest dream. My parents keep talking about like how they're trying to have a new kid. And I had like the weirdest fucked up dream on the train. It had something to do with a baby, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, weird. What was fucked up about it?
I was like in this black darkness and I felt really cold until somebody pulled me out and then I woke up.
Aw. That is weird.
Oh, David, when you're typing, I can hear it. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Have you had that dream before?
Not that I can remember. But my parents only just started talking about having a new kid like the last couple of weeks. Although, you know how parents are, they always like talk to each other and behind closed doors. Who knows? This might have been a plan for a while and I just accidentally overheard their little plan.
Maybe. I mean, how do you feel about it? I don't have any siblings, so maybe it must be good, right? Having someone like another person in your family that you're connected to.
Well, when I was young, my parents told me that having me almost like it really hurt my mom and she could have died in the process. So I don't understand why she would want to have another kid.
Oh. Is there a chance she might die?
Well, she had me and almost did, and now it's years later.
That's scary.
I googled it and it does not look good.
Well, hey, if there's anything I can do to help, like let me know if you want to talk about something or anything. I'm totally happy.
Are you trying to trigger something?
I don't know. Also, if I inspire reject conformity in him, does he get to like change a label or something, or?
Oh yeah, that would be good. I hadn't really thought about it, to be honest. I was like, that sounds pretty good.
I don't want him to feel like a loner, worthless monster anymore.
Yeah. Sure, yeah, that sounds like a good mechanical way to enforce that. I'm gonna change monstrous, I think, to... I think he's just confused. But he's not feeling like a monster anymore.
That's good.
Yeah, does that sound good?
Yes, that sounds perfect. I'm just looking at the moves. Hmm. Oh god, that's so manipulative.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I better do it then, right?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
So for use of label,
Mhm.
can I just do I just sort of like pick a label that he has and then push on that to make him do something I want?
Yep.
Awesome. So I'm gonna push on his I'm gonna push on his loner label. And when I say like if you want someone to talk to or anything, like you can come to me. And I want to. It's oh god. I'd probably say something like, because as far as I can see, I am the only person you have.
Snap. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Let me think about, because using a label, I think the context of that move is usually between PCs. But I do like the idea of consuming NPC labels in order to do these things. So I could see it as you getting your way by hitting on that label, and then if those things work, maybe it consumes the label.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That might be good. Well, let's try that and see how it feels in the fiction.
Awesome.
So you'll automatically get a +1 because you're hitting on that hard. And yeah, I think you're being audacious again, right? I would say.
Yes. And probably hot and cold again, because I feel like I'm coming on super strong.
It sounds like maybe you're hitting loser as well.
Loser. Oh yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Oh god. Wait, into this gonna be like, I was like, I want to be a good person today.
Well, you're hitting these things to do a good thing, right?
Yeah. Totes. Yeah, so I'm hitting, I'll hit loser. And I'll hit audacious. Yeah.
Okay. And then you also hit, what was the, didn't you
shit. I don't, someone else is loner, right? It's is he a loner? I can't remember.
He's confused, loser, worthless, misunderstood.
Oh god, I'll hit worthless land, because like I just said that, like, as far as I can see, I'm the only thing that you've got.
Yeah, well, I think you could be hitting confused, loser, and worthless, right?
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah, okay. I will hit all of those things.
Cool. And ironically, I kind of like the dichotomy of you hitting those things in order to like get rid of them, and then if you reject conformity with an NPC, then that's how you would be changing it instead of just consuming the label.
Yeah. I like it. So sorry, am I rolling?
Yeah, you're rolling get your way.
Anyway,
Right?
cool. Awesome, yes.
And what is your specific goal with this, though?
Oh yeah. I think I just want to be like friends with him.
All right.
He's my surrogate. Like I want to. Oh, maybe like I don't know. Does he play any musical instruments?
Sure. What would Aiden play? Let me see what I've written for Aiden. Oh yeah, his fear is to not be cool, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, he'll play the bass.
Interesting. Bass and a cello.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the bass is pretty much like a cello with frets. So that makes us even more perfect together.
Yeah.
So maybe like she wants a jam session.
Sure.
That's a 10 on the dice.
10? Cool. So
Plus some stuff.
plus some stuff. Okay. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll get rid of confused, loser, worthless. He still has misunderstood, and then you're going to give him another label that represents this that's going on with you two.
Oh gosh. What's secure the label for this. This is so fucked. Probably. Ooh. Oh shit! What's a word for like, I don't know, like sort of coming out of your shell, like opening up, like because he's like talking about his family and his parents with me.
Is he blossoming?
Blossoming. Let's give him a blossoming.
Sure.
Or rebirth.
Oh yeah, rebirth's a really good one. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Which one would be easier to take, though? Both?
Or reborn?
Reborn? Sure. So he's gonna have reborn and misunderstood. Okay.
What a weird combo. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, you know, kids, they're complex individuals.
Doesn't he still have the matched pair one that you gave him?
Oh yeah, totes.
Yeah, that's the only one that you can use, I think. I don't know. I think anyone could. And then, but you can move that at any time, right?
Oh
Or
yeah, I'm gonna
every
be moving
session.
I'm gonna be moving it next session as well.
Oh, nice. And you're my best friend. And you're my best friend. Cool. Okay. Interesting. So after the stuff that you said, you're sort of like being like, I'm starting a band, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, because someone I really cared for moved away and I don't have anyone to play with.
Sure. Okay. And I think he definitely gets like more spirited, right? Like he as he's tagging, he's getting more vibrant, and he says, "Yeah, sure. I play the bass. We can jam sometime." And then you probably do the thing that those friends do when they're like, oh, "How about tomorrow at 5 or whatever?" Right?
Yeah.
And he just does that sounds fun, right?
Yay, it's a date.
Cool. Cool. So what else do people want to do? Jackson, do you have something in mind?
I guess I would probably want to talk to Laszlo and Felix about how strange Oliver is. And when Jackson says someone's acting strange, they're acting strange.
Cool. Yeah, I like that because Felix has the gift. Anyway, so yeah, we could put you all together if you want. So here's the question: is after that moment with the band scene, is everybody going to the wall then, if that's your like spot, or are people going to other places? Laszlo, where did you run off to?
And what's the wall again?
The wall is like your guys' group spot, essentially, that Lauren had described, that was sort of like neighboring the school and the mall, and you had tagged it all up and stuff like that, and it's got benches and whatnot. It's your little place, apparently.
I definitely want Leslie to see our initial song.
Yeah, I definitely think I run there, and then like I think the camera shot we see is him like sitting there slumped against the wall, sort of heads down and despondent with the headphones on, and it's like right underneath where they made that initial tag. So it's just like this thing is like pointing down towards him and his sorrow.
Nice. So is it the same scene just a little bit later and everybody is still there, or is it just you there?
Yeah, I think it's like the camera stays in position as they're tagging the wall, and things just like speed up, like the sun sort of zooms through the sky and it gets towards later afternoon, and you see people start moving around, and at some point Laszlo comes in and sits there and he's just like completely immobile and still while everyone else is sort of like fast forward moving around.
Poor Laszlo. Okay, sounds good. Okay, well, I'm sure your friends would know where to find you, so I guess you find Laszlo like that. What do you do?
I think I want to shape the world because we haven't really used that move much, and it's relevant with what my character can do. But also, I think this is something like Jackson wants to know more about what's going on in Laszlo's head. So I think I have an idea of what the detail is, but should I roll it first or should I say the detail?
Let's see. 7-9. Yeah, you can say the detail because even on a miss, I've codified it that you get the detail. So
I think Jackson and Laszlo like grew up together, and I was around when his mother basically abandoned the family and left town. And no one really knows why she left town, but apparently it was like in a bit of a panic. Is that cool with you, Patrick?
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Y'all are such sad kids.
It's like my secret past. It gets sadder.
Yeah.
So this is I'm going to tag childish because this definitely is our when we were children. I think curious because I'm definitely getting involved in Laszlo's life here. I'm going to tag Laszlo secretive because he does not tell anyone about this. And I'm going to tag his head in the sand because, that's definitely how he ended up coping with this. So that's a +2 again.
Poor Laszlo. Head in the sand.
That is a 7.
Cool. 7 and 9. Choose one. Oh, cool. And so it was that the Laszlo, let me just get to this page. Laszlo's mother left. And there's some mystery around that, apparently.
Yeah.
And a bit of a panic, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And then here's the mean thing that gets triggered over that. When I shape the world to learn or create a new detail about another player's character, choose one of their moves and temporarily add it to your sheet. Once you use it, erase it.
Cool. So what are you taking?
Well, Laszlo has one move, so I'm taking pause.
Gotcha. You guys can both just act like nothing's gonna happen. Cool. All right.
I don't know how you want to do that taking, but I think it might be sort of interesting if we have Felix there too, and like the new iPod. If maybe somewhere in that, like you end up holding on to my old iPod and I end up with this new one.
Yes. I like it even better that you do not know that I stole your old iPod.
You just have it on shuffle all day, or?
Well, I think like so Felix shows up. Like, how do you introduce the subject? Do you bring up the iPod?
So we show up, I imagine. Did you show up before me, Jackson?
I think so, and I think when I like see Jackson, or I'm sorry, when I see Laszlo dejected like this, I like just sit next to Laszlo and like, yeah, actually, I think this is something that Jackson would do. Like, comforts him by putting his head on Laszlo's shoulder, like just that little bit of physical contact.
And I think I sort of like pull down one side of the headphones because they're those big cup ones, so they sort of work as speakers too if you're close enough, just so that it's like playing there, and I can have you hear my sorrow. My sorrow.
Okay, so I show up and somewhere near, like some directly in front of you, but like not like too close to you, is a park bench or whatever. I think was described, a mall bench, and I jump up to stand at the top of the back, like very precariously, and I've got the iPod in my hand, and I turn to the two of you and I'm like, okay, you two, get it together. We've got a mission. Laszlo. And I throw the iPod at you. Oliver wanted you to
looks up in sort of that like perfect midair catch sort of thing.
Right. Oliver wanted you to have this. Oliver's gone rogue. He's one of them now. We're going to find out what's going on.
His iPod, he never let anyone listen to it. Yeah. Maybe this would be a good way to see like what was going on in his head. Maybe we can learn something about him or what happened to him.
Maybe it's a clue.
And I think I'll disconnect my old iPod and like put it in a pocket of my bag, but the flap doesn't close and it's sort of like hanging half out and catching the sunlight and glinting right there.
Jackson definitely just like does a little snatch, like doesn't even look at it, just grabs it, puts it in his jacket pocket.
And so I plug in the newer iPod and I look sort of disdainfully at its like unscratched case and its sort of gleaming shininess. Oh, that's so tacky. But I put the headphones like around my neck and sort of turn the speakers out and like click, 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 crank the volume all the way up and make sure it's on shuffle and just hit play.
Interesting. So do you think...
And one thing I forgot to describe is the way that I'm standing on top of the bench basically makes me look like a video game vampire. I'm up there,
clothes
okay.
Sort of flapping.
Yeah, exactly. All right, go on. I'm sorry.
Cool. But yeah, so what I was wondering is, Laszlo, is there any trepidation in this? Like, is this you just doing this thing, or is this rising to the moment? Like, are you afraid of what you might hear, or like, what is the tone?
Yeah, I like that. Because we have seen a couple of times Oliver being like his creepy shirt and tie adult self. So yeah, I'm like trying to say that I think this will give us the answers. This will let us into his mind, but maybe this is like adult pop music trash. Like maybe this is some sort of trick. Maybe this is how they get to you.
Right. Okay, so what are you afraid might happen?
I'm afraid it's a trick.
Cool. Okay. And what are you taking?
Afraid this is some trick. Experimental. Pure. That may be about it.
Okay. Cool.
Let's see. Yep.
Unless there's any secret labels the iPod has.
I don't think so. Other than a gem with the hamster.
So, that's an 8 though.
Cool. 8. Acting will leave you vulnerable. The MC will tell you how. Back down or go through with it. Cool. So, yeah, I think what happens is it starts playing, and at first you just hear like continuous dripping, like the sound of like water hitting the sink or something like that, right? And then as it continues a little bit, like your face, Patrick, as it continues, suddenly there's like the sound of like when you copy over a VHS tape, like there's that jump cut from one program to the next or whatever, but it's not quite perfect. And I think already the class has already started upstairs there, like where you guys have been dawdling too long. And you literally just hear what's coming out of Oliver's voice in the class. Like you just hear him speaking, and he's just saying, you know, like he's just teaching the normal class or setting up like homeroom or whatever, right? Like maybe he's taking attendance actually. So maybe it's even more like that. And then it cuts again, and it's like back to like the water dropping again, and then like suddenly there's the sound of like the power lines that gets like really loud again, and then suddenly it cuts back to Oliver doing his teaching stuff, and maybe it's even like, you know, at your name where it's like Laszlo.
All right. So how will this leave me vulnerable?
The vulnerability, I think, is that like it's very distressing. I think basically, like to continue to listen to this, there might be like what I'm going for is there might be more mystery and actually a clue, but it's also like disturbing and distressing, perhaps. So I think if people listen to it, they might take distress.
Okay. Yeah. I'll continue on
Roll
and sort of
sanity.
maybe like turn down the roll sanity. turn down the volume just a little bit because some of those noises and shrieks or stuff are getting a little upsetting.
Cool. I think we could handle that as I'm torn. Oh yeah. So I think what happens is you continue with it, right? Like you're gonna keep listening.
Yeah, and I think actually to lean into the pause move,
Right.
I'm gonna like hold up a finger as I raise them up to so that it's just me listening to it, so that they're not getting caught up in whatever weirdness is going on here.
Oh, cool. Okay, I like
That'll let me sublimate distress into a weird label.
that. Great. So as you keep listening to it, and it keeps doing these intermittent cuts and stuff like that. Let's see. How do I want to convey the clue? I think what happens is you guys are on the sort of corporate campus, right, along with the school and all that kind of stuff. Like it's a number of structures, including the mall, I'm sure, right? And in the distance there's like a hamster wheel that like screeches and comes to an end. The one that's going much slower that we saw at the beginning of the episode, and it's in time with what you're hearing. I think like you also hear the screeching along with the dripping water, and then when that wheel stops for a second, it also stops in your headphones and stuff. And then for the distress though, I think suddenly we get that tropey thing where it's suddenly very loud in your ears, like white noise, right, where it's like blah. And as you look up, Oliver is at the window and looking down at you with the nefarious glasses type thing, right? And so I think you would take a distress here, but you're sublimating it, right?
Yeah.
So what are you abstracting that distress into?
Something like digital haunting.
Yeah, cool. I like that, especially if it gets out. Cool. But then, yeah, I think eventually it gets essentially when Oliver goes to the window and looks at you, that's when it becomes like quote unquote useless again, right? The tape becomes just the white noise instead.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pull him down and say, I don't know exactly what it means, but like I think there's a place we could look. It's on the factory. It's one of the wheels.
I think I know which one.
I'm just gonna look up at where Oliver's looking down from the window.
And he's probably gone now, right? Of course. Horror trope.
He definitely wanted us to have this, to know this, so yeah, we should go look into it. We don't need to go back to class.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think Oliver is really scared. He seemed that way.
Well, either way, I think we should go.
Is Kit here too?
Maybe she like meanders into the end of this conversation, and if she does, she's definitely holding hands with Aiden.
Oh shoot! I had 1+1 forward, which would have gone away by now.
I think the last roll. I don't think any roll.
I don't think it would have made an effect on any of the rolls. So
yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
It happens.
Cool. So Kit is with Aiden.
Yeah, definitely.
Holding hands.
Yeah.
Listening to this. Cool.
Oh, I think Jackson just sneers at that.
Do you think that's lashing out at Laszlo?
Oh, maybe unintentionally.
Emotional. Like, are you deliberately holding hands with Aiden because you know it'll bug Laszlo?
Why not? Yeah, why not?
Trying to get a rise out of him. Fight for me. All I ever wanted was for you to fight for me.
I feel really dirty right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
He lost the loser label, right?
Yes.
I did. Because I'm
So-
a nice person.
I turn to the two of you. I'm still standing on top of the bench or whatever, and I look down and I say, "Aiden, it's good to see you're not so much of a loser anymore."
Hey, that's a nice thing to say.
It's a very nice thing to say. He's not a loser anymore.
He's never a loser in the first place.
It's like hanging out with friends goes a long way, Felix.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Cool. Kit, do you want to roll Lash
Yeah,
Out?
I'll roll Lash Out. I feel like I ostracized myself and I don't know how I managed to do that.
You don't know how? You're just like, I'm gonna hold his hand, I'm gonna hold his hand.
People are judgy about feminine sexuality, man.
Yeah, that's true. But they're like, you know, when you're 13, you don't have a lot of nuance, I think.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't developed my advanced views on human sexuality yet.
Okay, yeah, fuck everyone. I'm gonna. Yeah. So I'll roll. So when you try to hit someone, emotionally roll. I'm probably hitting on Aiden's matched pair.
Yeah.
Shoot, where's the character keeper? I think hot and cold, for sure.
Yes.
And I think I'm being quite audacious by like being quite public about this.
Yeah.
I think you're also being very unavailable.
Yeah, very unavailable. And I think those ones, yeah. Unavailable, hot, cold, audacious, and matched pair.
Cool.
I'm not gonna fail anything at this rate. Oh, there we go. I got a 5 on the dice plus 2.
There we go. Cool.
Wait. And I'm adding plus 2, right?
Um,
For hitting
I think so.
equivalent traits?
yeah, so you got a 7?
Yes.
Cool.
God damn it.
Dang it.
Choose 2. Oh, hang on. On the 12 plus. On 79, choose 2. Let's do. They learn something about your nature and give you a label.
Time to be judged.
And do I want to overflow is the other thing. Is that gonna? I feel like that might disrupt like where this plot is going right now.
I think
If
it's
it makes
perfect.
you feel any better as you're like giving distress and I'm sublimating stuff, I was planning on overflowing in a minute anyway, so
Okay.
go for it, Mitch.
No, this sounds like a good place to overflow.
Okay, cool. Yeah, then I'll something you care about is in danger and overflow, I guess. Yeah, let's do that.
Cool.
And I think the trait I'm going to give you is heartless.
Bitch.
You bitch. I think heartless.
God damn it. That's so totally fair.
Unavailable and heartless. Good lord.
The worst.
Cool. Okay. So, what does it look like to overflow? The thing that puts, I think, a good hook for people who want to overflow would be maybe the last thing we saw of those headphones was Laszlo had taken them off, right? The headphones of Oliver's with the
yeah.
white noise action. Yeah. So I think of its own volition, it gets very loud again, like so people could even hear it. And from the headphones, I think you can hear Oliver's voice. And I want to think of something cool to say.
Go to detention or something like that, right?
No. I think you hear like the dripping again, and then I think you hear maybe like open the door or something like that, and it's like Oliver, who's it sounds like the old Oliver, right? Like not the teacher one. So there's the dripping again, and it sounds like almost like someone had found a mic in their room and they like grab it and hold it close to their mouth, so that it's like very loud and kind of staticky, and you can make it out, but it's like in a desperation type thing. And he says, I don't have much more to give in here. Find me, right? And then it goes staticky again, and it's like you can hear it all from the headphones of Laszlo off the shoulders. So Oliver is in danger. P.S.
Nice.
So what does it look like to overflow, Kit?
Yeah, so just to be super, but feel free to like expand beyond this, but I want to sort of
Okay.
I want to evoke like motifs of like body shame and like I don't think Kit has an eating disorder, but like that kind of like eating disorder, like bulimia type thing. Because I think like when and like sort of female sexuality and like femininity and shit like that. Because I think when she overflows, like it comes out of her mouth. And although like a robot, so like she sort of like vomits out the robot form from her, and it sort of like keeps going until and like I think it's probably like a rusty. It's like probably a rust color, and I think she gets engulfed by it. And shape-wise, it's very like curvaceous, like a cello. So it has sort of like very feminine curves, quite large and massive, and like taking up space and not being like afraid of taking up that space. And I think it probably has like like lipstick bullet like rounds, like when you wear the, what do you call it, like the sash of bullets?
Bandolier.
Yeah, like that, but it's like lipstick tubes. And I think it has like a very long neck, and like that sort of like strings going up it as well, and the head's probably like very like curved and has like the cello. Shit, I should know this because I used to play cello. The tuning thingies like coming out of it as well, and they probably like sort of rotate and turn like robotically and stuff and that kind of thing.
Cool.
So that's what she looks like.
So do you like throw up the pieces of the machine and then they go into you, like onto you and assemble? Is that
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That looks cool.
Yeah. Cool. So if anyone feels like they would take distress from that, that's a legit takeaway from that, I think. I kind of like the idea of distress being something that the players can say that they take, like, so that way they can say like if something's bothering them or not, then they can opt into the distress themselves and therefore change as well, or still have it a part of the move cycle and stuff too. How do people feel about that? Does that feel
I like
good?
it. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Did the reset that we did at the beginning of the episode, did that reset our distress as well?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I should have said that.
Okay.
Yes. So, yeah, that happens. And so, what is Felix feeling?
Okay. So, like maybe since Kit seemed to be on the periphery and was unavailable and all that, it's like now she's here in full force and she's like you said, she's taking up space and being front and present about it, and I'm seeing her in a new light because of it. Like maybe I've never really paid attention to her before. It definitely knocks me off the bench. I fall backward and I hit my head on the on the ground and stuff like that. And I'm like, Kit, are you okay? How do I feel when I see you throw up the robot parts? I'm like, I've been sick like that before, and I'm just really was really worried for you, you know? Like this feels like a disease become manifest is what it feels like to me. So that's what I think. So,
Ew.
but I'm kind of like trying to crawl away, but still care for her at the same time. It's really difficult. Kind of frozen.
Cool. And you're not angling for any moves, right? Are you?
I thought I was just answering some questions.
Yeah, totally. I just like to make sure.
Yeah. No, I think I just call out, Kit, are you okay?
Cool.
I think I do take distress when Kit like throws up weird robot parts and transforms into a weird lipstick robot. And I think Laszlo sort of like wraps his arm around, grabs it at his chest there, and falls to his knees, and like his head tilts back and he lets out this like groan that expands into like a digital distortion scream as you see this like hole open up in his chest over his heart, as you see this like mechanized red beating heart in there that suddenly explodes out into all these like strings and wires that come out of it and wrap around Laszlo's entire body until he like grows and grows and he's like twice the size, made out of all of these like blood red wires and strings, all sort of cabled together, as out of like where his eyes were and his ears and his mouth and sort of in patterns going down his chest, all these like speakers pop out, and the scream sort of stabilizes into the speakers and fades out as he like roars up in robot form.
How big is Laszlo when it's finished?
I think he's like 14 feet tall.
Dang, cool. Okay. What about Kit?
I am
How tall is
exactly 3 inches taller than that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
It's amazing. So that height, but in heels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, and what about Jackson? What is Jackson thinking, feeling?
Well, Jackson already has turned into a robot, and we already established that he sees robotification as basically inner expression of what of what people are feeling. So Jackson is just mad at Kit for hurting his friend, and is probably going to be lashing out emotionally during this fight.
Cool. Okay, so here's the thing. Are you guys fighting? Because there's also the implication that Oliver is in trouble as well.
Poor Fraser.
Well, no, that's fine, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think Aiden just starts like freaking out and going, like pressing himself against the wall. But I want to stick to the FLCL of it all, where like the kid NPCs at least are like shocked and freak out and stuff like that, but it's just like they readily accept this absurdism in the fiction and stuff like that, right? Like all of the fiction is sort of like, well, they just sort of like bend to the will of like this weird stuff that happens there. So I think Aiden is like freaking out and stuff like that, but he isn't like overflowing or anything.
I don't know. I sort of like the idea of us fighting some before maybe something like bigger pops up to distract us out of that.
Sure. Yeah. I enjoy any direction you go with that. Cool. Okay.
Do you think Kit would move in, or do you think I would do something?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I mean, because like Lawrence wants to shoot people with lipstick, so I'm trying to like put that part of Lawrence to one side. No, I think she'd react. She's like followed Leslie this whole time. I think it makes sense that like she would like so I don't think she wanted to like hurt Leslie emotionally, but I don't think she's something super aggressive about it.
Okay. So I think so you're saying you wouldn't lash out first? Sorry.
Ah, damn it.
I definitely can. Don't worry.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
I think that as that sound dies down, it like you see these like vibrations and shakes go up all up and down these like chords and strings as his whole like coiled self starts to vibrate. And it just builds up and then explodes in this like visible sound wave that comes out of the speakers in his face, like right at Kit Robot. And I think ideally like slams her back into the wall of the school building.
Or is it into the graffiti of like me and Aiden?
Oh no, yeah, that's much better. We'll still get attention from people in there, but yeah, smash that shit.
Actually, I like the idea that the graffiti is the only part of the wall that survives that.
Yeah, that's great.
So also, did you guys have any bad repressed traits that I should know about that get out?
Yeah.
I have two.
Yeah, I had a couple questions there. So, I had like 2 phantom distress that had been turned into labels, and then 1 real distress. So, would I be at a -3 or a -1 for this transformation?
Interesting. Okay, so say that again.
So I had 2 hits of distress that I had used my paws with my earphones on to turn into bad labels instead.
Right.
And then 1 point of actual distress when the headphones were off when Kit transformed that I had before I transformed. So with the minus blank ongoing for having distress before you transform, would I be at -1 or -3?
Let me just look at that move real quick. And analog. Interesting. Yeah, I think you would be at a -3 if we did that.
Cool.
Because it would, yeah.
That's sort of what I was thinking, so I'm good with that.
Yeah, let's see how that plays out with the tagging system, and then we need to change anything.
Okay. And then trait-wise, I have my insular and experimental, and I now add to that my repressed empathetic.
Cool.
But also comes out my bad repressed trait of guilty.
Guilty.
Which is related to my brother's disappearance and repressed memories and all that.
Cool. Okay. And Kit?
Yeah, yeah, I have codependent and haunted.
Haunted. Cool. Okay. All right. And then remember for your harm tracks, you've got your good traits is what makes up your harm tracks. So like anything written under your traits, Lauren, and then if you have good repressed traits, all of that becomes your harm track. Okay. Cool. And so Laszlo is lashing out. Oh, I can't hear you.
Boo.
Yeah.
Would it be lash out or fight alone or what?
Fight alone is a significant threat, which would mean generally, I don't know. Let's see.
I'm good with lash out then.
Yeah, I think it would be more dynamic if it was lash out, because fight alone is used to sort of like abstract the entire fight into one go.
I think insular, secure, and heartbroken.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel so. Yeah.
So that's I get my 2 dice. It's +1, but ends up at a -2. So that's a 5 minus 2 is 3.
Sounds good. Okay. Oh yeah. So.
Ooh, but a level up.
But you level up, yay. So let's see. I could handle this kind of like arbitrating PC versus PC in Urban Shadows, in which a failure is a success for the other person. So what is Kit's ultimate goal in this fight, basically?
Oh.
Are you also lashing out, or are you just defending yourself, or?
I want to lash out, just with this exciting visual thing in mind I want to do.
Okay, cool. So I'll say that you get a success level. So why don't you roll, and then I'll increase your success level from the failure.
For me?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Oh, and I.
So you can't fail, but you could do quite well.
Damn it.
Like everyone's just like, how can I fail?
And I'll also tag a bunch of stuff, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
So it'll be a normal roll otherwise.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm definitely I'll hit on audacious for my trait. I am definitely feeling heartless. I think hot and cold is applicable. And I'll hit on Laszlo's heartbroken. Yeah, I think those. And unavailable.
Cool. So what does that end up with?
Jesus. Audacious, unavailable, hot, cold, heartless, heartbroken.
I think it was +3.
Yeah, looks like it. I guess
But what was your minus from your distress?
Yeah, you do have any distress?
I am not distressed at all.
Oh yeah, because you used the move to turn, right?
Yeah. And I got an 11 on the dice, so it's like a 14.
Okay, well, you can get more of a success level than that. Okay, so you do damage equal to the amount of traits. Just traits. I changed it to not labels as well. So how many traits did you take? Just one, right?
Just the one, yeah.
Yeah, so you take 1 harm. And then it is also momentous, a rare, perfect moment of grace, or it is dehumanizing to you or to Laszlo.
Oh, interesting. Oh, I don't want to do. I don't want to do dehumanizing because I think that's stuck for what I have in mind anyway. Maybe it's probably dehumanizing to me again because I'm being a complete asshole. And I think I'm flaunting like what I perceive to be adult femininity, like in front of Laszlo. And I think that that totally manifests in like I think Kit's robot like fully flips out like these Gatling guns. And it like they also look like lipstick tubes, and they project like these like red bullets like at Laszlo. And you see like the lipstick sort of thingy like sort of churn through like these lipstick bullets that go flying at you, and they sort of like pelt you and explode on you, so it looks like blood, right? Because it's like vibrant red lipstick, but it's sort of just like smeared like lipstick. It's very thick and lipsticky stuff.
Cool. All right.
I love
it. You're able to take 2 more harm, right, Laszlo?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay. And then you said that this had been, like, basically you guys are causing quite a disturbance anyway, though, right? Like, against the building?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The more security come out.
Yeah, no. So what happens is, from a little bit away, just like when you could see Oliver looking through the window, right? I think the window actually opens, and Oliver is like, not, like he's like crouching there, kind of like a spider on the windowsill, and then he leaps into the air and does one of those anime type spins, right? Like it's a crazy audacious spin, and then lands right by you two.
Oh shit!
And his jaw sort of like, it's not like he it like it's not unhinged, but it's quite large. Like it's like it opens as wide as he can without it being too like anime horror, basically. And inside you hear like the same beating of what you heard with Oliver pounding against the door on the headphones that I was describing, where it got really close to the microphone and he was kind of breathing heavily. And then we see like the evil anime glasses eyes thing again, right? As he like smiles and pushes up his glasses, and he like puts his finger out and he says, "You kids need to get back to class." So, Felix, what do you do?
Me, the camera's on the machines. I was just watching the robot fight.
It might be a good time to shape the world, is what I'm thinking.
But I have to have an idea in mind of what I discover, right?
Yeah. Do you have an idea of what's going on with this, Oliver?
Can you come back to me? I
Sure.
think somebody else is turning into a robot right now. So.
Oh, okay, cool. So, David, what's up? Jackson?
Yeah, I think when when Laszlo's robot gets like slammed into the wall, that upsets Jackson, and he takes the distress and starts overflowing himself.
Okay, cool. So how much, you just have one distress?
Yeah.
Cool. And so does it look the same as last time though?
Yeah, no, I think that's Jackson's like default robot form, but I'm totally like into Jackson's like robot, like, you know, transforming into like weird shit like all the time in combat.
Cool.
Like, I had an idea of how Jackson and Laszlo can team up.
Oh, okay, cool. But so visually it looks the same way in the picture that we saw?
Yeah, like the, you know, random body parts just kind of like as Jackson gets upset, like random body parts just explode into like a robot limb until he's this weird quadrupedal elongated head thing.
Cool. Oh, we missed break. So do you guys want to come back at 23 then? And then we'll figure out where this goes. Yeah? Cool. Okay. 23. Hey, Patrick, when Lauren beat you up, um, Lauren tagged some labels of yours too, didn't she?
Yeah.
So that actually means, at least the way it is now, with use a label, you can actually hit on somebody's label to inflict more harm on them too.
Oh, Div.
Oh, you can do that in addition to using it for the roll?
Yeah, that's a good point. We'll see. Maybe let me just make a note to figure that out for next time. Label. Yeah, it might be fun to do either or, hey? Make it a little crunchier. So you could take a chance and get a better hit or get more damage later. That might be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that for now. That sounds fun. Okay. So Jackson turned into a robot and is real angry. And Felix, you have an idea of what you want to do?
Yeah, this takes care of a lot of more than one thing for me at the same time. So, what I imagine happening is like everyone's turned into a robot but me, and Oliver has turned to me and having just said, you need to go back to class. I think he comes up to me like super fast and grabs me by the throat and picks me up with superhuman strength. And like we flash over to the hamster wheel that's stopped and it starts to move. And then like there's like electricity coming from his hand and he's like drawing some sort of energy from me or whatever. And it starts spinning the wheel up much faster than they normally go at all. Like it's going super fast now, and you can see electricity arcing off of the wheel, and I'm just crying out in pain. And I think like it's going to knock me out of the scene. Like I think I'm going to fall unconscious, which helps me because for the life of me, I can't figure out my robot right now.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to save that my robot reveal for the next and final session. But yeah, like I'd like to shape the world in that way.
Sure, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so what are you tagging for that?
Let's see. What have I got? Well, I think I finally have met a vampire, which is something I've been obsessed over. And I think there's something in me that's been untapped that's being tapped right now. And I can't do anything with the repressed traits, right?
No.
Okay. So it looks like 2 dice then.
Cool. No labels?
Well, one of them was untapped.
Oh, right. And that's it?
Well, maybe he's doing it because he sees me as the leader.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see that.
Okay, so that'll be +1 then. Yeah. Whoa! I rolled a 12, so it's a 13.
Sweet. All right. Oh, you can ask a follow-up question as well. So the detail you're adding is that he's a vampire, right?
Yep.
Cool. It is so. Do you have a question for me about it? Like a weakness or something?
Yeah. What is Oliver weak to?
Yeah. So I think I'll ask you how you know this, but I think you find out that his sort of like his heart is that pod to the iPod.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he can't be just. It's like his Horcrux, basically.
Okay. And so right before I fall unconscious, I'm like, his iPod, that's his heart. And then I fall unconscious.
As people are like beating each other up and stuff in robot form.
Yeah.
I like that. Cool. Oh, I don't know. That feels kind of like a fun cliffhanger-y place to leave it. What do people feel like? Like you
The
guys
one
are
thing
engaged.
if we cliffhanger it now, does that disrupt your desire to keep this episodic? I'm fine with that. But at the same time, that's the opposite of episodic.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I think I can like endeavor to make it episodic, but having a cliffhanger, especially with the next session being the finale, might be a fun thing to do. And we can always have a reset in them, right after the conflict or something like that too. So I think that would be fun. Are people?
You could also have it like it's episodic in the sense that when you get back to class, like that marks an episode of like this show rather than like needing to contain it to like a session.
Yeah, codify like the reset instead of the making it per session type thing.
Yeah.
I think that's spot on. Yeah.
Yep.
Really.
I'm totally okay with that.
Sure. Okay.
I just wanted to make sure whatever we did, we were like, oh, I didn't want you to be like next week. Oh, shoot, that goes against what I wanted to do. So.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of. Cool. Okay, let's do end of session. Okay. So here's questions for people. Did you prove a good repressed trait false? If you did, then you erase it. I don't think we have gotten to that point with anybody yet. If you proved it correct, though, then you mark XP. So it depends on you.
I think I did find some improvisational.
Yeah.
Like I did a lot of improvising with graffitiing and setting it for what.
Cool. And then if you do erase it, you can always use an advance to craft a new one too.
Mine was empathetic, which I was sort of like angling towards, but I definitely don't think I'm there yet.
Well, I think it's still empathy. You're just not dealing with it very well. Yeah. What was that, David?
I think Jackson did show that he was passionate.
Cool. Yeah, especially at the end there. Got real upset. Cool. What about Felix?
Brave is their trait. I'm not sure it came up one way or the other. The only way I could think of it is like the kind of crawling away from Kit's robot might be showing as not being brave. But
I was thinking more like you're brave when you told everybody that the heart is there as you're getting choked out by a vampire.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, no shit, you're not panicking. You're telling us how to fix that. That's pretty hardcore there.
Awesome.
Brave just doesn't necessarily mean successful.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So that's an XP then?
Yeah, that's an XP. Did you use the established visual motifs in play to reinforce the themes of the game? I think everybody was hitting on a couple of those. I was pushing hard on the adult world, and I think you guys were good at pushing up against that. Did we learn something new and important about the world? Vampires! Also, Oliver's probably trapped in a mouse wheel thing over there. A hamster cage. So you can mark XP with that. Did you defeat something that embodied a repressed trait of one of the characters? We haven't done that just yet. but I think I've come to a good place where that I think is what will increase your NO level, defeating something that is embodied by one of your bad repressed traits. So you're like defeating the bad parts of you type thing. And so that will increase your NO level, which will be beneficial when you're fighting. Basically, it just puts you on equal footing with bad things in the world that we haven't really gotten into yet. But like the bosses have higher NO level and stuff like that. If you marked an XP for internalizing how you choose to grow up during the session, tell the table why and what that means for your character. So if you, yeah, if you chose how to grow up and you mark the XP, it's a subjective thing. Then just explain it to everybody. And it's basically just like, did your character grow in a specific way? Did they learn something? Like with the bravery thing, for example, that might be a good one. Like if Felix is like internalize that they want to be brave forever now, that might be a thing. Or conversely, if I keep hitting you with the adult world and you internalize some of it and be like, yeah, I am going to start doing this in my life, then it could also be something like that. I'm not sure if we got anything like that. Did anyone feel like they were growing up?
I think I have an idea for how kids growing up that I can share with the class.
Sure, yeah.
I like it because it kind of ties into it. So I took the move. Oh shoot! What is it called? Oh, Smoke This Frizz, which is like when you embrace your adultness and love the adult world. And I think I've gone with like makeup. And the effect of that move is like when you can erase an XP, and then the next is a 10 plus. It's like you can't fail. It's quite empowering. So I like that kids kind of come to this place, like as we start in the robot fight, that like femininity and like performative femininity, like makeup, is like empowering and a weapon that you can use like against people to protect yourself.
Cool. I like that a lot.
I think I've learned, or I think Felix has learned that they were kind of erasing Kit, kind of ignoring them, ignoring her, or not giving her room to be who she was, and then realized when she burst forth that she deserves more respect than that. So I think I'll grow up with that.
And she's powerful in her own right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cool.
I think Jackson learned that people's emotions are important too. Because we've seen him care, in the past care about objects. This session was the first time we've seen him care about a person.
Oh yeah, cool. Cool.
And I think Laszlo's is actually sort of similar. Because I took the info move for my level up this time, which is when you study someone from a distance, you know them better. And I think it's this sort of like start of turning outwards, where he was very solipsistically focused on his own like mindset and emotional world, and Kit was playing into that perfectly until suddenly she started not reacting like she was supposed to, until suddenly like she was making her own decisions off of her own sort of internal world, and that's caused him to start like considering other people more and looking outwards at people's emotions more, even though if it sucks right now.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. Cool. So let's see my notes. How did people feel about the fighting for the first time against each other? I have a note that I want to codify helping between NPCs and PCs, because right now it doesn't make the distinction. What about the fighting though? Was it satisfying, the options that you chose and how that whole scene came about and all that kind of stuff? Or
yeah, I found it very satisfying. Like I thought the options were really great. Like it's neat seeing how do you like. So what I was torn between was like, because I was using femininity as like a weapon, I didn't want to use it to like dehumanize Laszlo, because I think that there's something not great about like experimenting with femininity like across genders. So I was like, oh shit, I want to turn this back on myself and have it more about like anyway. So like that was that was neat. Like I was pleased that I had to think about the motifs I wanted to get across like in those moves, because it says a lot about how your robot manifests when you do something dehumanizing, for example. So that was cool. I don't think it would have been like as fun if we kept doing that. Like if we'd like gone to the death, like it would have felt a bit like I shoot you and then I shoot you and then I shoot you again and then you shoot me again. And but just that one round of combat was super fun. I loved it.
Cool. What about Patrick? What do you think?
I liked it fictionally. Like fictionally, it felt really cool. I like the whole back and forth there. My like only technical confusion with Lash Out is, given the wording, I can't tell. Do you deal distress on a 7 to 9?
Oh, let me see. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'll clarify it. It should be the same, but you choose 2 instead of 1.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. Then otherwise, I wanted to say, like, similar to Lauren's, I loved us playing with the unintentional emotional lash out, which she had the option to choose to overflow from that, which then like washed over Laszlo, and he took distress and overflowed from it. And I really loved the interplay that was going on until, again, like I took harm a moment later, and then that splashed over to Jackson. And that's just I thought that was a great example of the sort of layout of the moves giving you permission to go with the neat fiction that seems like it should be happening.
Cool. Is there any options on Lash Out either of you wanted to have there when you were lashing out at each other, even as robots and stuff like that wasn't there? Something that you wished you could have done?
Not in that situation, but I was looking at, like, I think it would be sort of interesting if there were some way to play with more bad repressed traits, like maybe being able to hide bad labels as bad traits or something. Because I know we have the like shifter get rid of labels, but I was just thinking, because I have so many, I was thinking what to do with them, and I thought that might be an interesting thing. But no, I felt good with the options from Lash Out.
Cool. Yeah, the only thing I can see is that if you're already overflowing and lashing out like you two are against each other, the last option becomes like redundant, because you don't need to overflow again, right?
But you could advance your robot form into something new.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Because like in Furikuri, doesn't he turn into a gun like at one point?
Yeah.
So that's like a new version of the robot form. That could be like your next overflow.
That would be cool. Yeah.
And also, I think, like, don't ignore the first part. Something you care about is put in danger. I think that's always a powerful hook.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right. I made notes about that. Any other general thoughts about stuff?
I really like how you can hurt someone physically or emotionally, but then you can give them the option to like label you back. Like it feels like like a very even, equitable like exchange. Like I was so great when I was like, I make you feel bad, Laszlo, and Leslie's like, well, you're heartless. That was fun.
Yeah, that was a good exchange.
I love how emotionally double-edged every weapon in this game is. Like, no matter what you pick up and try and use, it almost always hurts you just as much. And that leads to really interesting spiraling fiction.
Cool. Yeah.
I have a quick question. So I noticed people who have shifted their repressed traits up onto their regular traits now. Assuming that's because they prove them true. But it says on the document that you don't do that, you mark an XP.
No. I moved those up there because since we're in robot form, those were coming out. So I was just trying to make sure we could remember that they were available for the moment. But that's why they're different colored.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Cool. Okay, well, should we do a quick round of stars and wishes then? Yeah. Cool. Okay, David, do you want to start?
So I loved Laszlo this game. I think that's totally my star. He was he did the perfect heartbroken sort of situation. The imagery there was just spot on. So big star there. As far as wishes, let's see. Next session is our last session. So right, yeah, it is our last session. I'd like to. I'd like to, really just get a nice conclusion. Really get a feel for how each of the characters have changed from there, and basically what their relationships leave as.
Cool. Yeah, Lauren?
Message to Patrick for playing Laszlo into Kit. Like, really, I felt very blessed that I had you to play into her hot call this. Like, that was a real interesting anime trope that was fun to see. So thank you for. Oh yeah, and I love how it plays into your insularness that is now becoming outward facing and stuff, and I think that's a very organic relationship, and I can't wait to see what happens next episode with that. So you're so great. Thank you. And Fraser, just thank you for making this game, and being so thoughtful and minting it and executing it and GMing it. I am very pleased by how easy it is to just wrap in motifs and themes. I'm really loving playing around with sort of femininity and body shame issues and growing up and trying on adult identities and things like that. It feels very true to what I saw girls my age doing at that time and probably what I did myself a bit. So it feels very true to not just the genre, but also to growing up and being 12 or 13 or whatever and not knowing what you're doing, but thinking that you know what you're doing and having adult relationships by casually holding hands with people and thinking that's an adult thing to do. So thank you. This is I love this game so much. You've done a fantastic job. And wish, I don't know, no, I'm not gonna say that dumb wish of I just want to keep playing this forever, but I totally do. I think next, I think I would be interested to see how much I can push Kit, growing up or exploring how she's heard people or something in that last session and how she can rectify her relationship with Laszlo, or if they just go the opposite and explode at each other and can't fix anything and they destroy the group, because it's always when you're a kid, people break up and shit or whatever and ruin the whole friendship group forever. It's like the Yoko. I'm the goddamn. I'm the Yoko.
That's pretty funny.
Yes, that's. I wish, I guess, is to see what happens.
Mark?
Well, stars to Lauren for that scene with the spray paint and Aiden. I really liked that. So many games of Monster Hearts where it's you're trying to get somebody to do something. It's I want you to, hurt somebody, or I want you to do this thing over here, and it's I want you to be my friend, and I'm that is flipping awesome. And I was also completely caught off guard um, when Fraser asked me like what was going on in the middle of the fight. I'm like, I want to watch the fight. You know, I was like, can I just step out of the scene somehow? Because the like that was that it felt like that was like the definition of this game, right? Like to me, that was the defining moment of this series. Is like this, you know, someone tries to express their feelings and it gets all anime bubbles and then all of a sudden it just twists and now you're fighting each other as robots. Like that's exactly what this game should be about. Um, so those are my stars. I want to, as a wish, just have a scene with Kit where I can talk about on screen like the growing up that I did and show some respect to her and apologize. Um, for kind of ignoring her or pushing her to the side. So
Cool. Patrick.
Um, I had a great time with this one. Like, I also very much enjoyed being able to take Laszlo on the like sad, brooding, heartbroken, everything is bleak for forever sort of path. And I like the structure of this game because I'm already starting to move towards like emotional revelations and changing because of that, rather than being like constantly stuck in this one mode. It's neat to see these characters breathing and evolving. Also, just I huge star to Lauren for like I think leaning into the implications of your playbook ended up being super cool. Like just seeing that you could switch your affections like that, and so trying it out and then being willing to go with like, oh, that seems mean. I don't know if I want to do it, but okay, yeah, let's try it, sort of thing, was really, really great and helped push every bit of it further and further. And also just the whole like um, Voltron made out of the weaponized bits of your perceptions of femininity and adult sexuality was just super cool to watch, and also I think would be like really hilarious to see in an anime with these like exploding lipstick bullets and all this sort of ridiculous things. So I just loved all of the layers of all of that. It was really good.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad it came across okay.
And then wishes. I'm really fascinated by Oliver and his story. Like suddenly he's a vampire, or maybe he's not him, or he's. I've been fascinated ever since he came in, and it's our like 5'2", 13-year-old teacher. Um, so I'd really like to dig in and explore more of just what the fuck sort of weirdnesses have happened to him over the past 2 weeks.
For sure.
I had one. I had one
hmm?
thing that I wanted to like. It just kind of hit me, and it's so at the end of the session where we did the thing where we talk about how we grew up. Um, instead of getting an XP, I was thinking like that would have been the perfect time for me to give myself a label so that I could be different in the game. Because that's one of the things one of my struggles right now is that I haven't been able to change any of my labels, and I want to change a little bit, and it's been hard for me to do that. So just a thought. I don't know if that's balanced or not, but I just wanted to throw that out there. So
Sure, yeah, I'll look into that. That sounds cool. Yeah. Well, because what I was thinking was you get the XP and then you can spend the XP to add a trait, which is even more powerful maybe than a label. Because
we can
somebody
spend
can that.
XP to give ourselves traits.
Yeah.
Oh, well then that's what I should be doing then.
It's one of the advances.
One of the advances, yeah. It's not one for one. Like it's not 1 XP for a trait. It's when you hit the 8 XP.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah, you can add or change one with that.
Well, that's really cool. All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Cool. Yeah, as stars, I thought we were very much hitting like an episode of FLCL, right? Like the absurdism was on point. I thought everyone's interactions with each other was really good. I thought the names or the moves were doing what I wanted them to do for the most part. I think they just need like a little bit of tweaking, especially codifying help with NPCs versus PCs and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought everyone's character was great. Everyone had a pretty cool moment. Like Jackson's was the whole coming to the aid of his friend. The robot battle was a very standout moment. But aside from that, I thought Laszlo sort of turtling the whole time was very fun, and then convincing somebody to be your friend was exactly where I wanted these moves to be pushing towards, and not just like that's one of the problems that I have when I play Monster Hearts, where it's all very like pushing you to badness. And generally, I wanted the moves to have the ability to take away some stuff. And I'm glad that we came to a oh, and also the conversation with Felix and Oliver I thought was good, and the ending when you added the detail was also cool. Mark is, I think, very good at adding details in this game. You've used them to very cool effect each time, which I like.
Yeah, I really liked how you took my detail from the fight with Aiden and made it like part of his issue that he has at home, like this new baby thing. Like you took that and you took it to the next level, and I thought that was really cool. I
Yeah.
I felt very rewarded for that. Like that callback felt really cool.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad. And yeah, so I think for the most part it's going to where I want. I also think that it feels good if you hit somebody's label, then maybe it's sort of like expired or something like that, right? Otherwise it seems, for NPCs anyway, like the way to get rid of the labels you don't want is to invoke them and then give them like a new label. Feels pretty good to me. So we'll see if that works in the economy of the labels and traits for them, but I feel like it should be good. I feel like in a TV show, you either prove if it's right or wrong, and then after that, it shouldn't be like a lasting power thing, right? So it feels like that should be okay. So that my wish is to test that out, I guess, to make sure the economy is working well and tighten up the moves in the highlighted spots, and then land the ending. I'll probably put this up again next month, but it might be like a two shot near the end of the month, just so I have some time to work on it for quite a while between this iteration and the next. So we'll see, but I'm fairly certain I'll post it next month near the end at some point in the day, because I haven't put up anything next month yet, just because I wanted to concentrate on writing. So cool. Does anyone else have any things that they want to say?
Yeah, it was so satisfying, like having that, like to make amends with Aiden for beating the shit out of him in the episode prior. And I think mechanically that felt very satisfying as well, where I could sort of like take all of the negative traits we had on like worthless and loser and shit, and then like change them. I'm pleased too that we didn't change it like, yeah, now they're good traits, because like he's confused and like misunderstood. So it's like they're still quite like neither good nor bad. But no, I think
They're honest.
Yeah, they're honest. So no, that felt very satisfying to like sort of be able to go there and change his labels. And then I think I'm just realizing how powerful the proxy one is, because I can just be like, whoop, now you're my matched pair. And now I can just appear in a scene where you are, and I have an automatic like +1 against you to changing all your labels. And I will shape you in the way that I see you. So looking forward to seeing who that's going to be next session.
Yeah. You could yeah, I'm excited as well. So
Oliver, maybe.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
What up, Oliver?
I like it too because to me it feels like okay, now that like Kit's kind of like made amends with Aiden, like it's not interesting anymore. So she's gonna go and try and fix someone else.
Nice. As long as he stays in the garage band.
Yeah, totally.
Gotta catch them all. Start a
Yeah.
band.
And then another thing I was smelling about over too is like the opportunity to sort of give someone like matched pair or like fake matched pair or something and like make them think that like we're together but we're not. I think that'd be I don't know.
Very nice. Dark and twisty. Cool. Anyone else? No? Cool. We'll stop.